Okay, this is an overview of our new Prowler carriage. It's a little different than the past ones I've done. I'll detail that as I go along. This is set up for a pairs vehicle right now. It's got a set of shafts for it as well. It's made for mini B pairs or small Shetlands. It's got a neck yoke on it right now. It also comes with a short crab tree with swivels on bearings. It's adjustable for length. The pole is. The line of draft is adjustable. Right now it's set for collar and hame with the low single trees. These two bolts that detach the pole can be removed and the whole pole can be flipped over. Then your single trees are on top and they're up about here for a collar and hame or a Euro collar line of draft. A breastplate or a Euro collar line of draft. This is for full neck collars down here. It's got a 12-inch diameter fifth wheel plate in there with a plastic disc. This carriage has cricket suspension. It's got the independent suspension on the front here. It's got a cross transverse leaf spring in here with the rubber bushings and the bolt that snubs the suspension arm to the end of that spring. It's got my typical 2-inch wide wheels. This carriage, for the size it is, has 21s on the front and 23s on the back. It was sized to have a particular seat height. The nice lady that this is built for, she needs it that height in order to do a transfer from her big chair onto the carriage. Now, this particular Prowler, I would have to call it a para-Prowler because it's made for a handicapped driver. So the arm swings down so that the transfer can be made easily or more easily. And then it has these side panels for keeping the person's torso in place. They're adjustable in and out. It's got the mounting points for a 5-point seat belt harness, race car seat belt harness. Seat belts aren't on here right now because it's kind of takes up a lot of visual space, but it mounts on 5 points to the frame of the seat. This particular carriage, I put the high backs on these seats like a roll bar because it's my belief if you're strapped into it, which she needs to be, she should have a roll bar just on the off chance that something happens that she's able to roll this carriage. I don't think it can be, but it's a pretty wide track. It's 125 centimeter or I forget in inches. I think it's around 50 inches wide, the wheel track. The back suspension is a quarter leaf spring with a live axle, it's called. This one has the live axle, and that means that the axle turns with the wheels. And there's a sprocket in the center of the axle that turns a chain, that turns a brake drum up in here with a band style brake band. The reason this is all in here is so that the brake can be worked easily by hand. So it's got a hand brake here, and I had to go to that style of brake. It's the best way I could come up with to make a brake that could be operated by hand. It stays quiet when the carriage is in use. I'll do a more detailed video of the brake to put on the website, but suffice it to say it's got an inboard brake that stays nice and clean in there and protected, and it operates easily by hand. There is space on the back here for a groom to stand if need be. You can grab in a couple of places. The side handles on it for grabbing a hold. I put a shock on here in order to take some of the rebound out of these springs. I don't want it to be bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down. When I put weight to it, it goes down and it comes back up. The seats are adjustable fore and back so that you can get the right distance away from the footboard in order to be comfortable. You don't have to move them to balance the carriage. It's a four-wheel carriage. I sized it so that the axles are placed appropriately so you get as close as we can weight distribution for side-by-side seating. The floor of this carriage is a little wider than what I would normally build to accommodate people's feet for side-by-side seating. This unusual apparatus is a hands-free whip holder, I guess you'd call it. The girl driving it doesn't have real good use of her hands all the time. She wanted a whip that she can just push and use it like that without having to hang on to it. So you just got to get the right size whip. It'll lock in here with a set bolt and then it'll work. I put cup holders on here as requested. Yeah, that pretty much is it in a nutshell. Now this carriage has got a few things on it that add to the weight. The side-by-side seating makes it heavier. There's extra bracing and whatnot in under here to accommodate these side-by-side seats. The little side pads, the mounting points for the seat belt, that wider floor pan, they all add weight to it. This, best I can tell with my scale, is that this comes in at around 290 pounds, this carriage. It's a Mini B, small Shetland pony carriage. My pair of 34s have no problem pulling it. The team that's going to be pulling it, or the pair pulling it, are 36s. They should have no issues at all. A single, I would say you can go anywhere from a 10 hand up to 11 and a half hand on this without too much trouble. I'll do another video with the shafts on it. But there we have it. That's the basic Prowler, and I'll be doing more detailed videos of this to go on the website.